Hello, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. Before we dive in, I want to invite you to my free nutrition blind spot challenge. This is happening for the entire month of November. There are about 10 scattered trainings throughout the month. And the other day I asked my community, what are we struggling with when it comes to nutrition? And some of the responses that I got are I feel like I eat healthy, but I still don't see a difference in my body. I try to meal plan and prep, but it feels so time consuming. It's hard to take part in all of the fall festivities and stay on track. I can't eat any more freaking dry chicken breasts. The sweets are my downfall. My family is just so picky. I'm on the go a lot and I don't know how to juggle that and eating healthy. So everything that's included in this month monthly challenge, this nutrition challenge, we're going to do, like I said, weekly mini trainings, and this is where I'm going to give you practical advice on how to, number one, avoid overindulging, strategies to reduce bloating and improve eating habits overall, how to simplify the meal planning prepping process, simplified food resources. So there will be a worksheet to work along with when it comes to grocery shopping, meal planning, prepping, a recipe book of fall themed meals, and a supportive community of a group of like-minded women for motivation, accountability, to share your progress, to give tips and tricks and celebrate everybody's wins. And then at the very end, we're going to do a bonus Q&A session. So if I didn't answer any of your questions, you can get personalized advice there. The cost is free, monetarily, but the real cost is you have to invite a friend. And the reason behind this is, yes, you're going to come into one of the most supportive communities there is, but it's not the same as having somebody close to you, a friend, a family member, a coworker who is doing it by your side, holding you accountable. Like, let's talk real accountability here. Most people start challenges alone, and that's exactly why most people end up quitting the challenge after a week. So grab a partner. The link will be actually, it's not gonna be just clickable. You have to DM me on Instagram. I will put a link to my Instagram. So once you grab your partner, DM me there, nutrition challenge we'll call it, and I will send over the link once I know that you have a partner and you both sign the fuck up. All right, let's get into this week's episode. I just have a feeling that maybe you needed this reminder today that nothing is permanent. No choice in your life is permanent. And with that being said, what are we doing? How are we living our lives? And are we actually having fun with life, or do we think that we could maybe introduce a bit more fun? Because in my eyes, there's no point to spending your life worrying about how much money you have, your body, your friends, your family, all the shit that's going on, the economic stability. It's currently, as I'm recording this, it's the day after the election, and there was like this weird energy in the air. Did anybody else feel this? Because the last like week I have been in the biggest funk, the like ick, ick. Everything's giving me the ick. I can't even do my daily responsibilities. I swear it had to do with that. I saw a video yesterday of a girl talking about how election day there's weird energy and whatnot. I'm like, ma'am, I have been feeling that. So again, this worry about what's going to happen in the future. There's no point to letting the fear of failure, the anxiety about what the future holds, dictate your decisions, meaning the job that you're working, the relationship that you're in, the amount that you travel or you don't, or the business that you want to start, or the body that you want to build. Let's not base our decisions off of fear and anxiety. We have to ground ourselves in this positive, empowering energy and make decisions from there. There's no point in getting so close to the opportunity, that vacation that you've been dreaming of, the health journey that you've been tiptoeing around, the coach that you've reached out to, you've applied to, you're like eyeballing for the last 3 years straight, but never actually pulled the trigger. That job that's pulling at your heart, like you're a creative person and you want to start the art business, but it's so risky. Right? These opportunities that we keep getting close to that is going to change your life, but we let the bitch voice in our brain convince us that it's not the right time. And I say, fuck that. Let's not. Let's not and say we did. Let's instead send it. And when we talk about this idea or this theme of anxiety, one thing that I have learned is anxiety is a compass. Anxiety is telling you something. Anxiety means that you're not living the life that you know deep down that you're meant to live. So, rather than telling yourself and chalking anxiety up to, oh, it's a disorder, it's something that I was just born with, get curious. Get curious about your anxiety. Start to investigate your anxiety. Why is it that you feel so fucking anxious when you're trying to hang out with this group of friends? Right? Maybe you have this group of friends, and anytime you go out, you're like, I feel so much anxiety. Okay, ask yourself, like, what's going on here? Why? Why is it? Do I feel this anxiety with everybody, with my family members, with every single one of my friends, or is it just certain friends when we're doing certain activities that maybe you're just not fucking into? Is it because you're outgrowing this group of friends? I started to feel that. I started to feel this like ball in my chest when I would hang out with people where I'm like, oh my gosh, all you guys are talking about is the boy from high school in 2016. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't have any damns to give about the boy in 2016. There are so many better ways that I could be spending my time right now. So of course I'm going to have anxiety, but I'm like, I don't even fucking want to be here, but I'm stuck here because I'm at this cabin that's 3 hours away and you all are drinking. So maybe I'll drink and then I take a drink and then that gives me even more anxiety. Like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't even want this drink. Of course we're going to feel anxiety. We're not living a life that is aligned to the life that we want to live. Why is your job making you feel that way? Why do you have anxiety when it comes to your job? Do you fucking hate it? Do you hate your coworkers? Are you not even lit up by selling carpet? Like, why are we selling carpet if we want to go and be an artist? What are we doing? Of course we're going to have anxiety. Right? If you want to be a pro soccer player, but you're an accountant and you're hating your life, you're like dragging yourself to work every day. You're like, I'm not meant to do this. I'm meant to be an entrepreneur or a pro soccer player. Of course we are going to feel anxiety, and you're going to feel that anxiety until you do fucking something about it. Why is it, right? If we lay our head down on our pillow at 10 p.m. and we stay there staring up at the ceiling until 2 a.m., why? Instead of saying, maybe I need to go to the doctor and get some sleeping pills and some anxiety pills, how about we use this as a means of investigating ourselves and learning about ourselves? Why is it that some nights we stay up until 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling? What are we thinking about? Are we thinking about our fucking job? Are we thinking about our friends? Are we thinking about how we don't have any friends? Are we thinking about how I'm looking out the window right now and there's 2 feet of snow. I'm like, why did I move to Colorado? I fucking hate winter. Right? Is there something misaligned in your life that is causing you to stay up late having anxious thoughts? Did you and then investigate, like, what's the onset of this anxiety? Did I just spend the last 2 hours scrolling TikTok and wishing and looking at everybody else's lives, and they're out on a boat in a bikini and they look so good and they have this freaking amazing husband who buys her flowers all the time and she's got all these plants that she can keep alive and I can't keep any plants alive? And are we sitting there wishing that our lives were different and not fucking doing anything about it. Is that where the anxiety is rooting from? We're getting a little spicy on this episode of Summer's spicy topics. So, this might be the real talk that some of you need, though. It's real talk that I need, even. Like, bitch, wake up. Wake up. You don't just have anxiety for no fucking reason. There's something in your life that is causing that anxiety. And it could simply just be you're sitting and scrolling, comparing your life to everybody else's, and that's causing it. Or it could be a bigger rooted issue, a deeper issue of maybe you're just so fucking unsatisfied with your life. You're so unsatisfied with the person that you are at this age. You're 25, 30, 35, 40, 48, 50. And you look back at your life and you're like, wow, this is where I made it. This is my life. And you have anxiety. And maybe it's a signal that something needs to change. And you're just unsatisfied with the amount of risk that you have or haven't taken to get you to the point that you're at. You know, like deep down, we all know what we are meant for. We all know, like I've said this the last like 5 episodes. I'm so sorry, but like jealousy and comparison, that's a compass as well. The reason that you're jealous of someone, the reason that you're comparing yourself to someone is because you know we're like measuring. It's like human instinct. You're like measuring yourself up against this person because you know that it's possible for you. Whatever it is that you're comparing or jealous of or measuring yourself against, the reason why you're doing that is because you know that it's meant for you. So instead of sitting and pissing away all of your time comparing, go out and take an action that is going to get you one fucking step closer to the life that you want to live. Why does your life feel so stagnant, so blah, so boring? I had this thought kind of in my election energy the last week. I'm like, part of it is the weather change. I don't know if any of you, I don't know where all of you are from, but I'm assuming most of you probably have weather change. You have winter. And the second that it starts to switch, my mind is like, but I don't want to do anything. I don't want to leave the house. And then after about a week of not leaving my house, I'm like, why does my life feel so boring and so blah? And then I'm like, oh, well, it's because I haven't left the house in about 7 days approximately. And so start to ask yourself, like, what if I'm gonna stay in my house, what would make that more enjoyable, right? Like we moved into this apartment. This is embarrassing. Like in June, so almost 6 months ago, and most of my walls are still pretty blank, still pretty white. Part of this is because we're moving again in June. We knew that we weren't going to stay here, and so part of that is like I don't want to buy a bunch of shit just to have to transport it. But I kind of hit this point where I'm like, all right, we are not also something that's extremely embarrassing that I don't even want to admit right now. This comes from straight laziness, and like me and Logan are the type of people who just don't really care. I do not care about name brand shit. Or like full price shit or like being this like fancy person. Like we're just not that way. Or at least I say that, but we are still I don't even want to say this. We are still sleeping in a full-sized mattress bed. So it's me, Logan, who is a giant, and then our dog Ozzy. We sleep in a full-size bed. It's not like I'm fucking 25, almost 26 years old, and it's not like we can't fucking afford it. Actually, yesterday, actually, I was like, I'm so fucking over this. I am buying us a king mattress, a king bed. I'm doing it. I'm pulling the trigger, even though we're moving again in June. I'm like, I don't care. We'll freaking rent a U-Haul and if we have to, and because we got here. So the way that we got here is we just took our 2 vehicles. We didn't want to rent a U-Haul or anything because everything that I've always bought is thrifted. So I'm like, I just sell it, get rid of it until we move into a forever home. I'm like, there is no point in buying all of this bougie stuff. Not that I would do that anyways. But you know the difference between like a thrifted dresser and then like shit that doesn't match and you're just kind of scrapping it together versus like sitting down and actually saying, okay, I want to invest in the furniture because I want to love it. Like that's a whole different vibe. And we just haven't gotten there yet because we just haven't settled down yet. We're always moving around. And so, yep, we are sleeping currently in a full-size bed, but we are upgrading starting next week. I think everything will be here. But that was part of this. Like, okay, my blah, like maybe I'm feeling blah and I'm not feeling like the version of myself because I'm still acting like this person who's okay with white walls in our fucking our bedroom is so sad. It is a full-sized bed with a metal frame. I have one cute light, like I'm so embarrassed. I thrifted some big mirrors off of Facebook Marketplace. So we have one big full mirror, like a small rug, one night or a lamp, and then our full-sized bed in the middle of the room. No nightstands, no anything. Nothing on the walls, just white. And I'm like, I'm sitting there journaling one night, and I'm like, maybe my life feels so blah because I every night I go to bed and I look like I'm in a fucking jail cell. I'm dying right now. So that's something to think about is like, maybe one thing that I did even when we were living in the farmhouse, for those of you that don't know, I spent the last 2 years living in a farmhouse in southern Minnesota that I did not enjoy. I was so misaligned with, but it was something that we had gotten ourselves into, and it was what it was. And this was something that I did, something on a smaller scale. You don't have to go out and drop thousands of dollars on a king bed just to feel something. But something that I did back then is like, one thing that bothered me is I'm like, I have all these plastic hangers that are all, you know how they're all different colors. There's like white and gray and black and a pink one and a freaking blue one. And you're like, where did all of these even come from? I'm like, this looks so ghetto, and like I just don't even enjoy it. And again, it's like there's energetics behind it. Like I am going, like, mark my words, I am going to be a millionaire. I am going to make $1 million, over $1 million. Me and Logan are going to be wealthy as fuck, and doing it in a way that isn't scumbag money. It's truly making an impact in this world. It's truly pouring our all into what we do and what we're passionate about. And it's like, okay, if I know that for myself and that's what I want, you have to start developing this identity, like the broke trailer park version of myself with all of the mismatching plastic hangers. My millionaire self doesn't live like that, right? Like that's something that it bothered me. Like it'd be one thing if I didn't give a damn, but that was something that I'm like, this bothers me. It bothers me to look at. It bothers me to hang my clothes on. Like I could at least, if I'm gonna get the plastic hangers, let's like all have a match. And I'm like, it's not even that much money to just upgrade. And so I did. I threw the freaking, I think I donated the plastic hangers and then bought fuzzy hangers. You know, the fuzzy ones, the like nice high quality ones with the metal. And of course I bought them at TJ Maxx. Like, come on. That's another thing that I'm working on. Is like, okay, we have enough money to not thrift everything and get everything discounted, but I'm like, why wouldn't I, right? Why wouldn't I if I can? But anyways, like take it step by step, right? If you have to even thrift things, that's something where even some of the decor, I bought the bed new, but some of the decor, I'm gonna go thrift it because I'm probably gonna get rid of it. So I'm like, whatever. But it's like, take it step by step, whatever you can afford, ways that you can make your environment match this identity that you want to become. And I'm talking more money wise, but even health and fitness wise. It's like, okay, if you want to be this freaking hottie in the gym who is the center of attention, who everybody's like, the boys in the section look at you. I had this happen anytime that I go to either chest press or shoulder press. I'm pressing like 40s, 45s, and then shoulder pressing like 35s. And anytime I go to do that, the boys, they look at me and they're like, oh my gosh, she's lifting like just as much as me. I've had so many guys actually comment, they're like, what the fuck? But it's like, if you want that to be your reality, how does that version walk, talk, dress, think, right? Like, how does that version, the one that's like turning heads, is she wearing the baggy sweatshirt and the baggy sweatpants? Maybe she is, but my version, fuck no. She's like showing off the muscles. Like, if we're gonna be lifting heavy, we may as well have the shoulder vein and the everything going on and everything popping. So it's like, start to think about this. Does her closet consist of all black and white and gray clothes, or this like spicy version of you who's a little wild and a little out there and a little like, what the fuck is this? What kind of confidence cocktail is this bitch drinking? Maybe she's wearing the bright pink sports bra. So it's like, how can we start to inch our way up? You don't have to go buy a bright pink sports bra, but maybe you start to introduce a little bit more color. Like, you buy one that's black with a little bit of pink on it, and then we start to move our way up. Even like your environment in the kitchen, right? Like, what would make you feel really inspired? Do you need to Man, I'm in a goofy mood today. Do you need to Photoshop like a version of yourself that's absolutely ripped and like hang it over your bedroom, over your bed? So every time you go to bed, you're like, yep, that's me. Like, print off a photoshopped abs and ripped body and slap it right on your bathroom mirror. And so every time you're like, yep, that's gonna be me. No, just kidding. But it's like, how can you set your environment up so it feels exciting, right? Like, are you eating bland chicken, rice, and vegetables and feeling blah? Well, of course you're feeling blah because you're forcing yourself to eat nasty food. Like, maybe you need to spice that meal up a bit more. Maybe your meals need to consist of more than just chicken, rice, and vegetables, right? So really think about this. Like, if your life is feeling blah, are you living in a blah environment? Are you just blahing around? Are you still showing up as the old version of yourself, trying to become this new version of yourself, but you're not actually changing anything? And would some simple decor fix it? Or does it need to be a little bit more dramatic than that? And do you need to simply rip the band-aid off and just find an entirely new place? That was me in the farmhouse. I was like, this is not the life that I want to live. It's one thing too if you're stuck somewhere because you have to be. Like, if you are financially strapped, I still don't even think that that's an excuse. I think if you want it bad enough, you just fucking do it and you figure it out. But that's a whole nother situation. If you're financially strapped, like maybe you have parents that, are close to dying or something like that, that's holding you in a place, like, that's one thing. I don't think there's any excuse out there as to why you should drag yourself down and drag yourself through the mud just to be there for someone else or please someone else. But that's just me. I'm a little bit selfish, a little bit selfish at heart. But for me in the farmhouse, I was not financially strapped to that. It was simply just out of safety, out of comfort, out of, well, this is what's working right now. And so get really clear as to, is it decor? Is it new meals? Is it an entirely new place that needs to happen? So, like I said, I've had a few situations when it comes to this idea of really nothing being permanent, of anxiety being a compass, the farmhouse being probably the biggest one. But I talk about this with my clients because most of them are overachievers, and there's this overachiever pattern where you grind, you like get into this masculine energy and you're like grind, 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 go, 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 like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and freaking get obsessed with whatever it is. And then you hit a point where you're like, I can't do it anymore. I can't keep up. And then you just fucking let it all go and you swing all the way over into this feminine energy where it's like you're floating through life. You have no structure, no plan. You're just doing whatever feels right. And I tend to do that as well, less with health and fitness and more with business and just life in general. And that's somewhere that I'm always catching myself. Like when I get too much into the masculine and too strict, I develop anxiety and I develop this like, ooh, like something doesn't feel right. And then I sit and I investigate it instead of like, oh, this is just how I am. And this is just, I need to go to the doctor. And I'm not trying to shit on true anxiety disorder. Like that's an issue. But I think in 2024, everybody has anxiety, right? I'm quoting if you're not watching on YouTube, but it's, everybody's got quote unquote anxiety. And I think it's simply everybody's just sitting and comparing their lives to everyone else and feeling like they're constantly coming up short and then spending all of their time sitting and worrying about those things and not taking any action to make their lives better or actually investigating anything. And so let's empower you to not be a victim to anxiety, but let it be a compass. And so I'm sure even you listening to this probably relates to that masculine feminine swing where it's like you start and you stop and you're like so excited for a goal one week. You're like, I'm gonna fucking crush it. And then the next week you're like, I don't, where did that energy go? Where did that version of myself go? And then another week later, you like completely forget about your goals. And then a month later or 2 months later, you're like, wait, I set that goal like 3 months ago. And what happened? So when you start to develop this worry, this like constant, always on your mindness, investigate it because it's your brain, it's your body, it's you telling you that you need more out of life, out of yourself. You need to give yourself more. And if you're in the masculine, that's probably more fun. That's probably more flow. That's probably more just enjoyment of life. And if you're too far in the feminine where you're just floating and like don't even know what you're supposed to be doing, then you probably are craving and needing more structure in your life. So go write some freaking to-do lists, do whatever you got to do. Do whatever you got to do. The best thing that's worked for me is printing off a monthly calendar and I have it taped to my wall. I have it taped to my wall with the blue painter's tape. I'm so classy. The blue painter's tape, and I write little check boxes. So like right now I have podcast episodes on there every Friday. I have to write client plans every Sunday, and then I have like a fun task that I'm gonna do each weekend. And what I mean by fun is like get my nails done, shop for clothes, shop for decor to decorate my jail room of a bedroom. And so those are the main things, right, that I'm focusing on when it comes to social media tasks. Like maybe it's stories or posts or conversations that I start, whatever that looks like. It's the things that need to get done. And so that stops me from falling into that chaotic feminine. And at the end of the day, your body, it knows what feels good and what doesn't. So stop giving your power away to what these fucking gurus are telling you. And start to tune into you. Like what feels good to you, that balance. Like there's a balance, right? I think of it as an extreme, like two extreme ends. You have a complete bodybuilding lifestyle who their entire life revolves around training and eating and stepping on stage. And on the other end, you have this like nomadic living out of the van lifestyle. Like those are, in my world, those are the two ends of the spectrum. And I know because I have lived both of those. I have lived out of a van and I have lived the bodybuilding lifestyle, that neither of those feel good to me when I am fully, fully, fully in them. And so you get to decide. And like, that's what life is about. You're never going to get it perfect, perfect, perfect straight out of the gates. You have to go and live a day and then reflect on it and be like, did that feel like a good balance? Was I too much in the masculine there where I forgot to eat lunch? I drank 2 sips of water. My head is pounding. And yes, I got a lot done, but I don't feel accomplished. Like, okay, and now I have anxiety about it. okay, well, investigate it and figure out what needs to happen better tomorrow. Do you need to set reminders on your phone so that you eat lunch and so that you drink water? Do you need to plan something fun for the end of the day that's going to add to your life in a way that's not necessarily masculine? And then same thing, like if when I was living in a van, I had anxiety. Imagine that. Imagine that. And the reason being was like, okay, I love to travel and I love this, but I also it's not set up right. Like we don't even have a van that I can stand up in. I'm like doing my meetings hanging off a cliff trying to get service. Like it's not, I want to be more professional, more structured than I am right now. Do I love traveling? Yes. Does it need to happen out of a van for a year straight? No. No. Maybe someday in my life where if I don't have, a job that I need to show up to, then sure. But even that wouldn't feel good to me. Like I know that I love work and I love accomplishing. And so it's about knowing yourself, getting in tune with yourself and creating a life that you fucking love. So I there's this like idea too that your external environment, it shouldn't change your internal environment. But it does make a difference. Like I will say, it does make a difference. You can, in the farmhouse, this was something that I practiced, was like, I need to be at peace with where I am. Do I want to change it? Yes. Fuck yes. I want to change it. But I know, like, we were locked in for 2 years because then when you sell it, you don't have to pay sales tax on the house. So that was part of it. Is like we have to be here for 2 years. Logan was also working, making money. He is a landscaper, like weed removal. So that's why we had the farmhouse, was because of the acreage and he could work off of it. So there were all of these factors that played into it. And like you're this is a difficult subject because it's like, yes, you should be able to just be internally happy. It's kind of like, I'm going to record another podcast after this when it comes to toxic positivity versus having acceptance. And this is a point where you don't have to pretend, oh my God, I love my life. I love living in this farmhouse. It's exactly where I want to be. But there's this level of like, okay, I know I have to be here until this date. So let's just fucking accept it. Let's make the most out of it. And so I think that's kind of it. But your external does it impacts your internal, whether you fucking like it or not, or I don't know, you can have your own opinion, but that's what I think. And like an example of this, a few examples: if you're in a relationship that sucks, it drains your energy every day, like maybe you're a positive person and every time you're around that person, it's like they're dragging you through the mud, they're dragging you into the negativity, that is going to impact you and it is going to impact your internal. If you're living in a town just because it's your hometown and it feels safe and you know everybody, but secretly you actually hate it and you hate driving the same streets every day, you hate going to the same grocery stores every day, you hate the snow, you hate the pine trees, you want palm trees, that would make you so much happier. It's going to impact you. Does it have to be the end all be all and like make you miserable? No, but I would say your environment can elevate or it can tarnish what, I don't know, your happiness, your internal. So again, if you're living, another example, last one, if you're living in a body that's a result of you continuously breaking promises with yourself, it's going to impact you. It's all intertwined. Your external, your internal, like they're not separate. Some of the gurus and like the spiritual people and books and podcasts that I listen to, it's like you should just be able to be internally happy regardless of your circumstances. And it's like there's some truth to that, but I do think your external can elevate, like I said, elevate your happiness. It can add to it. I think we should all have this like base level internal acceptance, happiness, and then from there your external can make or break. Not break. That's not what I meant. It can make it better or it can make it worse. So overall, I don't know if we want to do a little recap here, but Let's see. Nothing is permanent. None of the choices that you make are permanent. We didn't really touch on that too much, but anxiety is your compass. And so let's stop using fear of, oh my gosh, if I make this choice, like it's going to be the choice for the rest of my life, kind of like moving out of the farmhouse and moving to Colorado. I can always move back. Not like I would ever move back into the farmhouse, but maybe back to Minnesota. If you let's say, right, you want to embark on this super crazy fitness journey, you want to get into the best shape of your life. Let's say that you do it, you accomplish it, you get there, and you're like, I actually liked the way that I was before. Okay, cool. It's not permanent. It's not permanent. You can, right, go out, you can decide that you need to spend 6 months single, and maybe you get 3 months in and you meet the love of your life, and you know what? Things change. It's not permanent. So, whatever the fuck you're scared to do, um, the vacation, the trip that you've always wanted to take to Europe. You spend the money, it is permanent, but it's not forever gone. You can always make the money back. Like nothing in life is permanent. So start using like this anxiety that you have, instead of letting it be something that just manifests and gets stuck inside of you, and like you use it as an excuse to not do the things that you need to do, or use it as, again, this like label that you slap on yourself. Instead, start getting curious about why the fuck the anxiety is there in the first place. And then remember that, yes, we can have um, this internal equilibrium, let's call it, but your external can also impact it. So if you're feeling blah about life, look around your environment. What can you change to help elevate your being and your life and your happiness and your joy? So start using anxiety as a signal that something in your life needs changing, and then go and change it, and realize that it's not permanent. That change isn't permanent. All right, that is a wrap on this episode. I love ya, and I'll talk to you next week.